Welcome back to another segment of Cody Spends Way Too Much on his 4th gen. Today, if you couldn't tell by that nice intro clip, we're going to be doing a head gasket on this old girl because the coolant is orange-brown. It's been losing coolant. It's highly pressurized. When I pulled the drain cock out, it like shot out of my hand. And it's been burning a little bit of coolant. So we're going to do a head gasket with a cylinder head swap, and then Cody also opted to put new injectors in this at the same time. So it'll be a fleece cheetah with some DDP 25% overs. Should be a nice little rip. Step them up a few horsepower, but still make it super reliable. To do a head gasket swap, pretty easy. If you guys are watching the video, I kind of go like right to left. Get the harness out of your way, get the rail off, intake horn off, then you throw your thermostat housing off, then you do injectors, connecting tubes, get your coolant lines there out of the way, and then all I do, unbolt the manifold, kind of let the manifold fall. The only trick I've figured out is take the coolant line off of the turbo here. That'll give you a lot better access to those bolts. And then Cody's about to take his belt and alternator off. We'll just undo the top alternator bolt, loosen the lower one, take the belt off, and then just rotate the alternator down. And then we have these 2 bolts here for this fan shroud, a couple bolts for the harness right there, and then the 1 fuel return line on the back. Do not forget about that. Also, we broke one of his CCV hoses, so we'll have to fix that today, but it is what it is. All right, now comes the moment of truth here. Cody's gonna go ahead and jack this cylinder head off, and we got the fire pump bracket on there. I always get this question, guys. Fire Pump Diesel sells this lifting bracket. I'll lift a fully dressed with turbos on it deck plate with this, so do not worry, it'll work. Cody got the head bolts off. We got the front belt stuff cleared out. I find that this idler pulley, just pull it off. It makes it easier to work up here. And then we got the fuel line removed from the back. It's a 17 mil banjo bolt. The only casualties of this removal was his CCV line, which, I mean, he can't really complain because I did it really late at night and we're working on the weekend. But we can get replacements to those, but we'll get it patched up for right now. And we got his stuff laid out here. He went with the Mahle head gasket set. Here's his head gasket, assorted gaskets. We're doing ARP 2000s, a new CCV. There's all his old stuff over there. And then he decided that he wanted more power, baby. So he went with a set of DDP 200 or 25%. So these are like, I think 120 horsepower injector here. Nice units, should work well with that fleece cheetah he's got. And also found some blown out exhaust manifold gaskets. Old girl, just, it's a welding rig. For those of you guys that are curious, I bet you what, Cody, 11, 12,000 pounds?
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah, so.
Maybe not that much, but it's up there.
He's not a real welder. This is all for show, but.
It's decoration.
Yeah. Very, very expensive and heavy decorations. So it's got a PDD 68 RFE in it now with this Mishimoto transition cooler. It's got a fleece cheetah. Now it's about to get a new head from PDD, their ported head. DDP 25%. Should be a reliable 650 horsepower unit. Like, all right, go ahead. Oh, there we go, baby.
Do.
All right, keep going up, Cody. So to do this, it's pretty simple, guys. That is your worst enemy right there, okay? Keep going up, Cody, a little bit more. All right, you lift it up like that. Cody's gonna keep lifting. All right, go forward or backwards, Cody, about 2 inches. Stop. All right, and now I'm gonna use both my hands to guide this head out. All right, so something to look at. This is the back of the cylinder head. So this is that fuel line people forget about. Do not forget about it. It'll be a real bad day if you do. And then just looking at his ports, you want to make sure you don't have any wet cylinders. Be an indication of oil getting past there. Now, if you are reusing your cylinder head, I would do valve seals. He's putting a new head on, so it really doesn't matter, but it's a good idea to get a health of how everything was going. So now we're going to set both cylinder heads, the new and the old, on a platform, whatever, and you're going to swap brackets. So you need your 2 coolant lines, your alternator bracket, your lifting eye, your coolant temp sensor, wire harness bracket, your intake plenum cover, and that's about it, because you took pretty much everything else off, and get it swapped over. Now, if you're smart, like I'm going to be, we're not putting Cody's rear lifting hook back on, and I don't really care if the rail pressure cuts his foot off, so we're also going to delete this as well. Not needed. Good?
Sounds good.
All right, cool. All right, we'll get it swapped over, and I'll show you guys putting it back on. Here's the old engine. How many miles is on this old girl, Cody?
191. So not too bad.
Hashtag barely broke in.
She's been running heavy since 70.
So, looking at the gasket, where did the coolant go? Looking pretty bad right there. Definitely got a little, see that right here? Yeah, that's water. Oh yeah, she's blowed. It's probably blown a little bit right there too, if I had to guess. There's some coolant that goes there. Yeah, not the worst I've seen, but you've also driven it for quite a while, so it makes it a little harder to find in a way. But we'll get the old head gasket swapped out here, and get his block prepped, nice straight edge and some sandpaper. No whiz wheels around here. No, sir. But honestly, his block looks like it's in really good shape. We'll put a straight edge on it for all you quarterback mechanics, armchair quarterbacking. But everything looks good. We'll make sure none of his pistons are cracked. I actually see a piston that's starting to crack in the back, but we'll deal with that in a little bit. Let me get it all cleaned up. And now we got that new from PDD. Look at this package job. I mean, I know we get power driven some hell from time to time, but I'll tell you what, this would make me want to spend some big money on a cylinder head. Hold on, Cody. Set it down on this. Wow. So this cylinder head, all new casting, no core. Looks like we're going to have to transfer over some thread-in plugs, which is no big deal. It comes with all new thread-in freeze plugs. Cody got the upgraded valve springs on this. You did, didn't you?
I think so, yeah.
That means you got to put push rods in.
Well, it's stage 1.
Yeah. I didn't know you got the upgraded valve springs.
Oh.
Oh, it's all right. I have a set of push rods here. We'll throw in. Oh. Also adding to this guy's bill. So we'll throw some push rods in it. I thought this was a stock valve spring setup, but it is not. And if you're ever curious on the easiest way I found to tell any of the upgraded valve springs, if you look at the coil spacing compared to stock, and then the material and finish of the spring itself, these are definitely upgraded. They're a little bit smaller than the seat, whereas these go the full width of the retainer, and these, see how they're kind of choked down under the retainer? That's the easiest way to tell. So we'll get this guy out, but A+ on the pack job there. That is nice. And here's that close-up of that CNC port job here. It's on the top too. A lot of times the top is the part that picks up the most flow. You guys can kind of see in there. Very nice process there. And again, this is a stage 1 head, so don't be too judgmental and start comparing it to like some of the race heads you've seen on my channel. This is just a down and dirty port job. I don't know the price point on these, but they come, I think the stage 1 only comes fully loaded. I believe you get your choice of valve springs. This isn't like a PDD plug like Cody paid for this. It comes with all new valves. This port job, I want to say, let me call Maya real quick and get the specs before I start jabbing away and telling lies. All right, so I just consulted with the MER. These flow 198 CFM on the intake side, 208 CFM on the exhaust side. Ton of swirl. This is very similar to the cylinder heads I run on all my street 6.7s. I prefer a cylinder head that's not as well ported to leave a lot more base material, so that way it's less prone to cracking inside. Normally I'll go a little bit further, but PDD also offers their stage 2 head, which does take it a little bit further. I just don't like porting the absolute crap out of these cylinder heads, and then you get a ton of flow, but the durability starts to go down, because the more material you remove, especially when you start getting further into this port, it gets very close to water. The closer to water it is, the more power it makes, the more chance you have to crack it. And that's not a good day. No one wants to crack their brand new cylinder head. So this is a perfect cylinder head for towing applications, stuff like that. Again, new valves, their valve springs, thread-in freeze plugs here so you can't blow out the freeze plug. A nice port job, surfaced, ready to go. And we'll get this all swapped over, all his plugs swapped over, plate, and then you guys will see us drop it back down. Now, because Cody's truck is essentially a work truck, and I now know that the head gasket is flat, or the head is flat, the block looks great. We're just going to use ARP 2000s on this. I'm not sure why Cody spent so much money on everything and then went with the cheap studs, but we'll get it thrown on there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Cody gave her the old aerosol overhaul on the cylinder head here, and now he's prepping his block. We got a carbon scraper, and then we're gonna hit it with flat bar 600 grit paper and maybe a little Scotch-Brite, all by hand. We don't like to use rotaries. You can, but do so with caution. If you are, those like roll lock discs, I think the white ones are the softest. They can work, but man, I really don't recommend it. So he's gonna get this all blocked. We got the oil passages for the rocker arms blocked off, and then once we're done, we'll vacuum blow all this out and slap the new gasket on. I got his studs all prepped on the toolbox already, and Jace is just over here having the time of his life taking apart my dash. There's screws and bolts, and at one point he had power tools. You having fun over there? Yeah, he's having the time of his life over there. I love it. All right, look at this, guys. For Cody's first time, we used a carbon scraper, and then we used a Scotch-Brite pad, and then we used 800 grit on this flat bar stock here. And man, he did a great job. We wiped it all down with acetone. I'm gonna put that back dowel back in, but I'll tell you what, for a first time, he did really, really well. Tech tip for you guys: if you are helping out a buddy who's not as mechanically inclined as yourself, make them prep their own block, because it might take a little longer, but they usually do a good job because they're nervous about it being on their own truck. So looking good. I mean, God, it's hard to beat the old 6.7 Cummins 4th gens, I tell you. Let's get this head thrown on. We'll pick up the camera once we start putting the studs in. It's pretty easy. Set the gasket down. I always recommend 2 people. I can do it by myself, but 2 people. One runs the crane, one guides the head down. Once you get it pretty close, put a couple of head studs, just drop them down in there. That way you have a nice way to set it down and you're good to go. As you could tell by the sound in the background, it is raining in the desert. Hell hath frozen over. We got our head studs torqued, did the 3-step sequence. Cody went ahead and just popped the injectors in there to keep stuff out. Again, these are the DDP 25% overs. Now I gotta go try and find a set of push rods somewhere. Hopefully I have a set. Pretty sure I do, because this cylinder head came with the upgraded valve springs. If you try to run that with a stock push rod, you're gonna lose some duration on the cam, guaranteed. So we're gonna find some brand used push rods for them, and then we'll start putting this back together. And now that I look at this, I should definitely put a rag in that intake before something falls in there. And to do this, same way as you remove it. So first thing I'm gonna do is put the turbo on, get that bolted up. Then we'll do the front with the belt and all that stuff. Then I will do his fuel rail. We'll modify his rocker box, put his valve cover back on and get buttoned up. We'll periodically stop, but again, this isn't like an in-depth how-to, just kind of what we're doing on the weekend. This is just another tech tip for you guys. We're doing valve lash. So anytime you change cylinder heads, push rods, anything like that, do not crank these all the way down and start barring the motor over and set valve lash. You're going to be off by a lot. Case in point here, we are at TDC compression number 1. Okay, so 6 is an overlap. I just tightened these bolts and the lash adjuster got too tight. So all I do is I get them till they just kiss the valves and give you some stability, and then I'm going to loosen all of the lash adjusters, and then we're going to set valve lash that way. But if you don't and you just crank it all down, what can happen, and I've seen it happen, I did it myself a long time ago, you'll crank these down. Now you have a very strong push rod that doesn't give against the valve stem, and you'll bend a valve. And then the first time you go to fire this thing up, thunk, 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 you got to pull the head off and do it all over again. So we're going to get the valve lash set and kind of get this thing buttoned up. We got the turbo on for the most part. We got the belt back on. Harness, all that stuff. So it's just fuel, the intake horn, coolant, and a couple of plugs, couple of doodads, and we're pretty much ready to go here pretty soon. So we got our mostly buttoned up. Injectors are disconnected. Cody did just arc the absolute crap out of the batteries. So I'm curious to see if we killed the fuse or not, but no coolants in it, just fresh oil. We did do an oil change on it. We're gonna go ahead and just dry fire it, no injectors plugged in. Make sure we don't hear any weird sounds. So go ahead, Cody.
So I just turn it on, turn it off?
I mean, let it crank for a while. I want to listen and see if anything blows up.
All right, here we go.
Keep going. It's got to build a lot of rail pressure. All right. That's good. Okay, folks. Now I'm going to plug this in real quick here. God, it's just so easy on these 4th gens, isn't it? So no one ever. Oh, I love 4th gens. They are fun. 4th gens are fun for everyone. All right, now keep in mind, all my armchair quarterbacks here, we do not have a tune revision for the 25% overs. So could be a little smoky, could blow up, real 50-50. Go ahead, Cody. Fur it up. Oh God, shut it off. Purrs like a kitten. Sorry to disappoint so many people. All right, now we're gonna put a little heat in the old girl and then temp gun it. Once that oil temp gets to about 150 degrees, we'll rip it apart real fast. And we're gonna go ahead and check all the studs, make sure they don't move. It's real 50-50, I've seen it both ways, but it's good security. So we'll check back in once it cools off. All right, folks, hot retorque's done. We got about a quarter turn out of all of these. Again, some people don't do it, some people do it. I've done it both ways on trucks. Being that this was a new head, and again, like Cody just beats the hell out of this truck. I'm glad we did. Got to go about a quarter turn. We'll let it cool off, and then we'll probably end this video off with maybe a little test drive later. But we got to go get some parts. RIP to his CCV line, a couple other things. So we'll just leave it, let Mother Nature do its thing, and cool it off. It's very dark, but we got the tune in. Seems to be running okay. Honestly, it ran great on the stock file. Now we're gonna do a quick relearn and we'll go test drive this thing. Got it full of coolant and purple power to get all the soot and crap out of this truck that's been running around with a blown head gasket for God knows how long. So we'll plug in the old snappy here and give her a quick relearn on the transmission here. This has got a PDD built 68. So then we'll go on our test drive. Right, we are pulling out of the driveway here. We're gonna just keep it on rail pressure, make sure it's only losing a slight bit. Hindsight being 2020, I told Cody we probably should have put a 10 mil in here at the same time, but you know, it'll give us a chance to keep up with everything and make sure Everything works good so far. Rail pressure is right there. God, this truck's heavy, Cody. You don't realize how heavy it is until you go to stop. I feel like I'm gonna turn your exhaust brake back on for you.
12,000 pounds. A little over 12.
Yeah, like I think I've driven it a couple times and I'm just like, dang, like this thing's heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, she's heavy. I drive it like it's a sports car.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, don't beat on it too hard because you just lost all of your transmission adaptive strategy again. So you're starting over.
Got you.
every time we tune it. The quick relearn got you through the rough spots, but like don't. If you are gonna get after it, manually select a gear. Yeah. And we're dead. No. We'll watch your lawn pressure. But all right, guys, we sorry the test drives at night is what it is. Not much you can do about it. Looks good for my house.
We're at your house, so that's nice. Yeah, I don't see nothing.
Pretty good. All right, we happy?
Am I happy?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a 1 day turnaround time.
It was a long day. You said it was going to be a long day, and I was down for it, and it was a long day for sure. We had to do some running around.
Yeah.
We had to get some food. We had to pick up some supplies, but all together, great turnaround. Also, super happy with the service of my mechanic.
Yeah. Shade tree services.
Yeah.
But doesn't leak.
It doesn't leak.
Don't mind all the stains in the driveway. Those were old.
Yeah, those,
Yeah.
they're
But
adding fluids. It was windy. It's actually really nice right now.
yeah. It was windy, rainy, and cold all day. Like the worst time to be working outside in Southern California.
It was raining for at least 4 hours.
Yeah. So, well, that's it, guys. Power driven head. And we have DDP 25s on a stock CP3, hold rail pressure. That was tune 3. We'll circle back to Cody. I just want to give that trans a second to relearn itself, because if you guys didn't know, every time you flash your 68 RFE truck with a tune file, it wipes the adaptive strategy. So that's why I always retune a truck, quick relearn the trans, or tell the person to do a quick relearn on the trans, and then proceed to about 50 miles before you really give it any sauce, let the trans figure itself out. But honestly, now fleece cheetah, ported head, 25% over, studded, fresh head gasket, and that was why we pulled it. When we did his turbo, there was a ton of soot in his degas bottle, and kind of looked like a 6-liter, honestly. And now it's still got soot in the degas bottle, but he'll replace that. But now everything looks fine. He'll have to fill it up a couple more times. He put purple power in there. Purple power, water, let it run, drain it, and then put some coolant in it. I'd probably drain it 2 or 3 times.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because I told him to put like 8 to 16 ounces. I'm pretty sure he put half a gallon of purple power in there. So,
I wanted it clean.
And he didn't have a thermostat, but that actually worked out best, because anytime you run vinegar, distilled purple power, any of that stuff, you don't want that on your good thermostat. So put a junk thermostat or your used one in, and then when you do the final fill, put coolant in there. So in closing, guys, big thanks to Chris Krebs over at DDP for getting us set up on the injectors. Heck of a turnaround time, my friend. I appreciate you. PDD knocked it out of the park on the head. Only thing I didn't like about the PDD head, I wish it was painted, but we fixed that real quick, and maybe they'll fix that further on down the road. Cody picked it up on like a Saturday, met Meyer over the weekend. So again, who knows on that. And you got Pro Mod push rods, 2,500 horsepower rated push rods in there. Yeah, and yeah, should be good. Hopefully you guys like this video. Drop your comments down below. Subscribe if you are not already. And as always, I'll catch y'all on the next one.